Hello, everybody, and welcome to the brand new JE3 Podcast. I'm honoured and delighted to say that our first guest on the JE3 Podcast tonight is somebody that means an awful lot to myself and to my family. Probably only sort of known him on a personal level for the last sort of 3 years or so. And in that time, he's made a real impact on me. And I'm very, very grateful for all of the time that he gives to my family and the foundation as a trustee. It's none other than Jobi McAnuff. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all right, mate. Not too bad, thanks. Just plugging away with it all. But yeah, on the whole, can't complain, mate.
Good man, good man. It's obviously been a while. I know we've spoken over the phone, but obviously been a while since we've seen each other. Yourself and the family all keeping well, though, yeah?
Yeah, man, apart from the homeschooling driving me a little bit mad. But our kids have been good as gold and a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel at least. So looking forward to them getting back and hopefully things starting to settle down a bit, mate.
100%. It's so much easier now. We've got those sort of dates to work towards where we've got some, as you say, light at the end of the tunnel. So, Jobs, as you well know, we've started this podcast, obviously, for those that don't know and that are listening. Jobi is a trustee member of the JE3 Foundation. So obviously for us, we felt that this platform is going to definitely be another great way of engaging people to the fantastic work that we are doing. So from your side, Job, I guess, look, can we just maybe get a little bit of an insight into, obviously, for those that don't know, fantastic footballing career, which is still running.
Just about, mate. Just
yeah,
about.
Absolutely. I looked earlier on actually, and a bit like Dad, I use Soccer Base rather than Wikipedia. I know people use, but you're approaching nearly 600 league starts in your career. That's some feat.
Yeah, I've been lucky, man. Of course, as you say, I'm coming towards the end of it. That's for sure. But I've enjoyed, an unbelievably long career and. One that I've really been fortunate. As you get older, you kind of realize how lucky you are, I suppose, when you're a young boy starting off your journey. It's what you want to do. And I wouldn't say you take it for granted, but I certainly have a greater appreciation for it as I've got a little bit older. And I know how lucky I am to still be doing it at 39 years of age. So again, played for some fantastic clubs along the way. And I've enjoyed every moment of it. Well, nearly every moment of it. There's been a few that
a few ups
don't
and
quite
downs
go the way.
way.
Yeah, but that's part of the journey, man. And again, the good times aren't as good without those bad ones that you get along the way as a footballer.
Of course, some fantastic clubs, as you mentioned. Played in the top flight: West Ham, Crystal Palace, Watford. I'm sure throughout your footballing journey, you've come up against some fantastic characters and obviously worked under some great managers. Don't have to say it because he's my dad and obviously we're on the pod, but who would you say during your career is sort of the best manager that you've worked under?
Oh, good question, man. And one that, I get asked a bit and, there's quite a few. I've got to be fair. I've been lucky. I've had some really top managers and good managers for different reasons, and, I'd have to start off, Ian Dowie when I was at Crystal Palace was a fantastic motivator, bags and bags of enthusiasm and drive. And, the lads absolutely loved playing for him. I knew a few of the lads before I went to Crystal Palace who spoke really, really highly of him. And that was a big factor in me going there. So he'd certainly be up there. Brendan Rodgers, I've got the fortune of working with at Watford and Reading. He was
manager,
absolutely top class when it comes to the coaching and tactical side of things. And he knew how to deal with the players as well. Brian McDermott was slightly different character, but he's one that gave players, responsibility to go and do what they need to do on the pitch, and sometimes it takes a lot for a manager to be able to do that, to almost hand the reins over once that game starts, for us to be able to go out and control it. And of course, Just is up there, man. He's, again, someone who I had great success with, and certainly there are things that stick with you. But again, for me, it's that crossover of, you want someone to get you going. Yeah, you want somebody tactically who knows how to set a team up to go and win games. But you want someone that you can get on with. You want someone that you can respect. And it doesn't always have to be, pats on the shoulder and hugs and kisses. It can be, a firm word at times. And, for me, he just had that balance. He had that way with people that, of course, better than anybody.
Yeah.
And that was no different for us, as players. Everybody loved him. Even I think that the biggest thing for me is you'll get gaffers who I played, I was one of Justin's main players, and
yeah.
It's easy when you're playing week in, week out. Of course, you're going to have a good relationship with your gaffer. But again, even players that weren't playing regularly, he wouldn't treat them any different, and of course, I'm sure we'll get onto it. But, when obviously the worst thing happened, there were players there that, were still so affected, players that didn't play a lot of football under Just, but because he treated them first and foremost as human beings and had respect for them, there was a real attachment to him on a personal level. And for me, that's what singled him out and certainly made him, for me, one of my favourite managers that I played for, man.
Well, listen, as his son, obviously, that's amazing to hear. You mentioned the word success in that sort of speech that you just gave. And obviously, I've seen photos you've come up against the likes of Messi in your career, playing for your country. I mean, what is your greatest success in your career to date?
Oh, wow. Good question. Again, it's one that I have thought about when you are playing. I think once I've finished playing, whenever that is, I will sit down, I will reflect. I think the fact that I haven't stopped, you generally don't get a lot of time to sit back and look back on things, maybe in enough depth and detail. The biggest achievement for me is the fact I've played as long as I have, and I'm still playing now at 39. I think you can always look at those individual seasons, which of course are highlights. That's what we're in the game for. So, winning leagues, again, I've been lucky to do it at Reading, and get promoted. Of course, with your old man at Orient, winning the league and getting us up, which was a massive achievement in the scheme of things. And when he come into the club where we were, again, internationally playing against, as you say, the likes of Messi in some big tournaments, the Copa America, and playing for your country is always massive. So again, I think if I was to have to single any of them out, it would be those moments and, successful teams, winning things and achieving things, and playing at the highest level against, the best caliber, because that's what you do it for. You want to test yourself against the best. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Exactly that. I think, what you said there, absolutely amazing achievements, what you've been able to accomplish. And the career's still going. There's still plenty of, hopefully plenty more opportunity to make more amazing memories ahead. So you obviously mentioned, and a big part of why we are doing this podcast is to obviously remember the man, obviously Justin, my dad. Had you actually come up against him in your career, or was the first time that he walked into Leyton Orient the first time you'd sort of crossed paths?
Yeah, probably. Obviously, look, of course, I knew who he was, and I'm not sure whether I would played against any of his teams up until that point. I'm sure maybe at some point we would have done, but he's not somebody that I knew personally. Again, you know people by reputation, especially in this game. I've heard a lot of good things about him. But yeah, that first meeting, really, him coming in the door, just with a presence, man, an aura, and I think when you don't know people, it's even more impressive when they can just walk into a building of people they don't necessarily know. And he had something about him, what that was, we were still sort of like, but he had a presence, and I remember speaking to him, he pulled me because obviously at the time I'd recently been made captain, but not on a permanent basis. So he said he'd been and watched a few of the games, and he was happy for me to obviously continue in that role, and obviously I would be keeping or being made captain on a permanent basis. So again, for me, straight away, that was a massive shot in the arm that he'd made that decision straight away, and he just got the lads on side, man, straight away. There's a positivity about him. It wasn't a kind of question of whether we could do something. It was we were going to do something. Yeah. And again, sometimes when you're in a position that we were, and it's like in life, you have questions like, can we do it? Are we good enough? And you need someone to just come in and say, no, we can do this and we are going to do it, and he certainly come in and just grabbed the whole club by the scruff of the neck, really, and dragged it along with him, man, to be fair. So, 100%. From that first moment, he made a massive mark on myself and everybody at the club.
Amazing. Yeah, I think you say there, I actually went to a game with him. I think you played Dover at home, and I remember the pitch was horrendous. I remember initially when he actually mentioned to me, that he was going to put his name in for the job, considering how hard he'd worked coming through non-league to, establish himself as a league manager, and then obviously what had happened for him at Northampton prior to him actually taking the Orient job. I remember turning to him and saying, listen, I've never played Jobs, right? But I just remember saying to him, you're absolutely nuts. Like that club, I think he was on a run of like 14, 15 games without a win.
Games. Yeah.
And what would you say were, obviously, I know you sort of reeled off a few sort of things, how he was just able to instill that belief. But from your perspective, coming into a change room of, say, 15 games on the bounce of defeats, how was he able to come in? Like, what were the attributes that just really struck home straight away? Because to come in and galvanize a group that were that low takes some doing.
Yeah, he gave us, the biggest thing I can say was he just gave us a real clarity, a real direction in terms of how he wanted us to play. There was no grey areas, it was black and white with just very much, and that meant, again, if someone on the training pitch did something that didn't fit in with the way that he wanted to play, he was stepping in saying, hey, no. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to do this. So there was total, again, clarity. Everybody knew their jobs. And again, to get yourself going, and he knew by getting that first win, again, after so long, it would get everybody on board even quicker. And, it wasn't an easy beginning, to say the least. And, we had to certainly buy into the way that he wanted to do things. But we believed from day one that those things would get us results. And again, things quickly turned around. And again, just a togetherness and a demand on the group, just that it would take every single one of us. And also, if there were players there, or even anyone around the football club that wasn't willing to get on the journey, then they could go the opposite way. Again, there was no folding in that belief. It was either you with me or you're not. And that's a bold thing to do coming into a new environment. But again, I know he knew, and again, the best ones do it. You can't have doubters, you can't have whispers, you can't have people, I'm not too sure. It is either, listen, this is the way we're going, now get on board, or I'll shake your hand and you go the other way, mate. It's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? So again, we wanted to get on board. The vast majority of lads there were more than willing to do that. And again, things couldn't have gone any better really from the minute he walked in.
Absolutely. I think a lot of players that have played under Dad that I'm lucky enough to obviously have built a relationship with, for the man that he was, and obviously how much family and everything and inclusion mattered to him. I think, that word and that balance of, I remember there was often times, I was very fortunate to experience some things that kids and young fellas can only dream of, and I remember sitting on the bench for the playoff final when he was managing Newport County. Like, what son does that? But I remember being around him and his group of players, and he did have that infectious, funny sort of line where he would sort of tilt from being one of the players, but then when it was time to crack on, as you say, it was business and business was business. What would you say was, going back to that sort of comedy, charismatic side of him, the funniest moment that you were able to experience in your time working with him?
Oh, wow. Oh, God, it's going to be more than one. And I'm trying to keep it clean here, to be fair. Yeah. I know this will be going out. God, that's a God. There's been loads. I've got to be honest. I remember we went up to one of the away games, I think it was towards the end of the season. And again, he brought all the lads. That
was this the first season or the title?
No, I think this was a year I think this was a title winning season. I think it might even have been the first one actually. Right. But he wanted everyone to be a part of it. He wanted every single player, whether you're injured, not. Again, that was his way of making sure we were together as a group. Yeah. And of course, the lads that were in the squad went to bed on time, as we would do. We had a game the next day. And I remember a few of the lads saying that he stayed down for a little bit after with a few of the boys and had a few drinks, and then
unlike him.
Yeah, exactly. But so anyway, we wake up, no one thinks anything differently, like, do you know what I mean? We're preparing for the game, whatever. And then apparently a few of the lads has probably had a couple more than they should have done.
Right.
So we get down to this meeting, or we're in the pre-match meeting, right? And Gaffer's there first and foremost, and dead straight face, like. So then little rumours start going around, and I think it was Sam Sargent at the time, possibly.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, Sarge is in trouble, man!" Like, and then again, everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" So then Sarge comes in, and he's a bit late, and it was something along the lines of like, again, where he'd had a bit too much, and the gaffer, he's the one who sorted this all out. So again, he's in on it. So he's like, stands up in front of the whole room, and he's like, "Sarge, what do you think you're doing last night?" So like, you see his face just like drop, and we're all thinking, he's got it in for him here. Like, do you know what I mean? This could be serious. I didn't even know what had happened. Like, I'm sort of looking around to the other lads, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And then literally, like, we're all just sitting there like that. He was like, not acceptable at this football club. You need to know the limits, you know, like, just proper went into one, like, honestly, like, straight as you could ever think. And then literally with a flick of a switch, he just started burst out laughing. He's like, "Oh, I'm only messing about." Like, Sarge was like, "Oh my God, I'm so relieved." Like,
I bet his
the
face
whole
is a
room,
picture.
oh mate, the whole room just erupted, and it was just brilliant. It was just such a nice little way of, again, just, you know, getting a bit of a laugh, and you know, that was just one little moment. There's so many of them though, Charm, not even messing about. He just had that way, like you say, again, that is a quality that is very, very rare. You know, being able to have a laugh and a joke, whether it's over breakfast in the morning, you know, again, it's talking about kids, family, you know, what happened on the weekend. He'd always come in and he'd want to know what the young lads are up to on the weekend. You know what I mean? I think half of it in that fatherly role, like, make sure they're not overstepping the mark, but also loved the banter and wanted to hear what was going on with like a Miles Judd or whatever they'd been at on the weekend. And
Juddy was always on Juddy's case. I remember he used to come home and give, I'll stitch Juddy today. And
100%. And then it'll be like, you have that laugh and a joke. But by the time, if we had a meeting or we were out on a training pitch, it was, again, like, it's work time now. You know, it's quite hard to get that balance, you know, but that's the aura, the respect that he carried around the place, that, you know, when he said it was time to work, you know, it was time to work. And he certainly didn't take any prisoners on that front, mate. He worked us very, very hard, but we knew it was, you know, all for a good cause. And we knew there was balance to it. It wasn't just all work. We'd have our laugh, we'd have our joke at the right time. But at the same time, when we did have to work, you know, we were more than happy to do that for him.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic to hear. I think from my side, it'd probably be good and reminiscent of me not to talk about sort of that run-in for the title winning season. And listen, living in his house, I knew more than anybody that the roller coaster ride, and as players, you would have felt that as well. I mean, the Salford game at home got slapped, really, and that was the first time I'd seen his Leyton Orient side sort of be dealt with in that way. And that was probably, I would say, his lowest point that I'd seen him during that season. But then that build up and that run-in where it was sort of getting closer. I mean, they pushed you the whole way, didn't they, Salford? And Graham Alexander, he's, you know, a top man. He's reached out to myself, my family, since obviously Dad's passing, and his side's always set up well. But when we got to sort of the tail end, I remember I drove up to Solihull, which happened to be the second to last game. And what was that day like as a whole? Because obviously it was far from over. But what was it like pre-match? What did he say to you to sort of get that sort of result done on the day? Because they were, again, Solihull were right in the mix as well.
You know, it's interesting you say that, Charlie, because I think the sign of a real top manager is they shield the players, you know, from that pressure. And we don't see how he is at home, you know, after a game or a Sunday or whatever. And obviously you have to deal with those emotions, where really it's probably his way of letting that out, because he never, ever let us think he had any doubt whatsoever that we were winning the league that year. Not once. You know, once we got ourselves in that position where, you know, this is us now, we're going to do it. And I remember we had a meeting, I think we had a little, I wouldn't even call it a wobble, but again, because it was so close, you know, we lost a game or two, or might even have been a couple of draws, whatever it was. And I remember him after the game just saying, listen, don't be scared to fail, lads. You cannot be scared to fail. He said, the most disappointed I looked at a team, I can't remember exactly what game it was, but he went, that weren't my team. You know, we looked scared. We stopped doing the things that have got us where we want to get to. He said, we might not do it, but let's have a real bash at doing it our way, because I believe that way wins us the league. I believe that way gets us promoted. And again, for us at a time where we might have started thinking, oh, is this our year? You know, it's a real, right, it's coming from him. He believes in us, you know, let's get back to doing what we need to do. So again, by the time Solihull come round, I mean, yeah, it was tense, you know, but I think we had such a belief in the group. And again, for us, we knew if we went up there and didn't lose as much as we wanted to win, you know, with the way other results were going. And I remember it being a horrendous game. I remember thinking, if someone's watching this as two contenders for promotion, they're not going to think much of the league. Do you know what I mean? But it was just that way towards the end of the season. You know, there was a lot of tension. We were so close. It was just about getting a result. But no, he never wavered, man. He never wavered. He never came away from that belief in us or what he demanded. And he did a great job shielding us if he was a little bit twitchy around that time. And again, I remember after the game, obviously after the result, and it was pretty much done. There was a sense of but it wasn't done yet. Do you know what I mean? It was all about next week.
That was what I was going to ask you, because I never got to ask him, because obviously the focus was then on the next game, and then obviously by the time the events that happened occurred, you obviously don't get a lot of time to reflect on that season. But it was more of a case of, right, was after that Solihull game, was it celebrations in the change room? But we keep this under wraps. No, it weren't even.
It was. And again, that's a difficult place to be as a gaffer. You know, it's a difficult place to be as a captain or a senior player, just keeping everybody. Because again, in your head, you're 99.9% sure it is done. You know, but there's just that until it's absolutely.
You never know in football.
You know, until someone's saying or giving you a medal, look, you're up, there's the league done. And again, I had it a little bit of my time at Reading. There's a clip on YouTube where it's mad. I'm running around, like there's people on the pitch, and it was done, but I needed to hear those words. We are up, you know, or we've won the league or whatever. So it was a little bit like that. That week was weird. It was kind of like we were in limbo because we couldn't celebrate, you know, and we wanted to finish well and win and get up, you know, the right way. And we knew it was in our hands, but until it's actually done, you know, you can never take anything for granted. So yeah, it was a weird week, man. I got to say, it was kind of just managing the expectations and getting through it, and then going out and again performing. We knew if we got a result that day, then it's done, isn't it? So absolutely, had to keep a bit of a lid on it, really.
But after that Braintree game, it obviously was party time. I mean, I weren't actually able to because I was running the marathon next day. But obviously, to see you all in the boardroom afterwards, you know, as a collective, and listen, you are, and it still is like a family there, you know, and it was really, really amazing to see that high and how hard you had all worked, and also that you still had obviously the day out at Wembley to forward to, which obviously didn't turn out to be. But when I look back now, and to know that that was the last place that he managed a football match, that's some feat, even though he didn't end up a winner that day. But I just think as a collective and as a group, you know, you went away, you celebrated, didn't you? And it was time to reflect on what a good time you had all had and achieved together.
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, I think doing it at home was lovely. It was really, really nice. Again, the fact it was down to us to do it. And again, the moments, there was images, I came off right near the end, and it was done. It was done. But if there was ever a time for a manager to sort of switch off and chill out, you know, and I just remember thinking, oh, we're done now. It's done. Like, you getting the scores from other grounds, and Gaffer just wouldn't switch off, you know, until we heard that whistle. And again, it's the same feeling. I know it. I've been there myself, but you know, I'm there. I've got my feet up, like brilliant, like just waiting for that final whistle. The lads are then like, what we're going to do to the Gaffer, like when we, you know, when the whistle goes, and you know, James Alabi's there, and like, you know, obviously all the lads loved him to bits. And so when that whistle went, man, it was just, I think, relief first and foremost. I think because it is such a high pressured environment, you know, again, getting out that league, I think it's something in years to come. You know, it is still so recent. It was a hell of an achievement to get out in a time scale that we did. You only have to look at some of the teams that get stuck down there. You know, it's one automatic team, man. So to win that league is big, you know. So
Massive.
it was a combination of, it was just euphoria. It was just, you know, the best feeling ever. Again, like my family are there. Obviously, you know, he's buzzing. All you guys are there, and to be able to share that moment, you know, just made it extra special as well, because it had been a journey. And I think the thing with football is, you know, it's so intense. You know, of course, what we're talking about, an 18-month period, you know, and a lot of people probably say, oh yeah, but 18 months. When you're talking about a football club, that can seem like a lifetime. You know, you're in, you're out, you know, and he made a big point always of talking about making sure everything's all right at home and keeping your family stuff, make sure that's fine. So when you can come in, or when you do come in, I want 100% from you. I can't have 80, 95. That just don't cut it, you know, and everyone gave, as he did, 100% and more. We gave everything we could, whether that was playing through injuries, whether that was, again, getting stuff sorted at home so we could come in and be focused. And you know, we made a commitment as a group, you know, to give every part of ourselves, and you know, we did that. And you know, it was just lovely to get the rewards at the end of it. And that day is a highlight for me in my life, man. Like, you know, football and otherwise, again, having those people around me, doing it with a group of players and staff, you know, and a gaffer that we absolutely loved to bits. It was you know, just a real amazing day, and one that I'll cherish forever, man.
And to get a club of that size that didn't deserve to be where they were, back where they rightfully belong as well, I'm sure that was a proud moment to be the captain of that side as well.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to probably my own personal situation at Orient, the first time I was there, which wasn't the greatest time. You touched on it a bit earlier about having lows in your career for whatever reason, and you know, going back was a big decision for me. You know, they say never go back, but I couldn't have got any worse than probably my first spell. So I wasn't starting from a particularly high level anyway. But no, it was still a big decision. But yeah, it was a bit of, I suppose, redemption, and that was in my thinking, and that's why I was so happy when Just came, because I really felt like he was someone that could help make that happen, and I wanted to be a part of a group that got the club back, because again, I think later on down the line and in years to come, you know, that will be looked at as a fantastic, even better achievement maybe than it is at the moment. And when you're part of promotions, you're part of that club forever. Whatever happens, you know, you are part of the history of that football club. And, you know, Absolutely. He was obviously the man that drove that. We were all parts of it, and just happy to be there for the ride.
Absolutely. We can't not touch on it, and I hope you don't mind sort of discussing it with me, but obviously we know what was to come, and obviously his tragic passing. Where were you at the time? How did you take the news? Because obviously there was that period of sort of 4 or 5 days where you probably knew something wasn't quite great. And I think, you know, from me and my family's perspective, the club, how they sort of kept everything sort of private, under wraps, they dealt with it, because as we all know, there's no manual of how to deal with an incident like that. But for you personally, and how you sort of coped and dealt with that time, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's obviously very difficult. One, even thinking about it, talking about it, going back over it, because it is just such a horrible time. And I think, again, it's one of them times and things that happens, and I will always remember where I was. I was actually out for a meeting with a consultant. I had a bit of an injury at the time, so I was actually meeting Ketan Patel, who's our club physio, who again was incredibly close with the gaffer. And Keats turned up, and he was a bit late and a little bit, unlike him, he's a bit flustered. And I sensed that something wasn't quite right. And again, as captain, you're probably, and I get on well with Keats, and you know, I just said straight away, like, what's going on, mate? I could tell something wasn't quite how it should be. Again, off the back of what was an incredibly successful year, I'm expecting him to come bouncing in, and so he just said there'd been a problem with the gaffer. And again, this takes me back again to, in terms of what he said at the time, was he said he had a cardiac arrest. Now, again, I'm not, at the time especially, an expert when it comes to this, and this is why this is so important, and why, you know, it's an amazing thing that yourself and everyone at the foundation's doing in terms of raising awareness and education. So my take on that, And again, bearing in mind, this is the gaffer. Yeah, this is one of the most fit, nearly 50-something-year-olds. You know what I mean? I'd see him in the gym every day. You know, he's blasting the bike or he's doing his weights, and, you know, he does everything to a maximum. So I'm thinking, just, you know, it'd be a little heart attack. And I said to Keats, oh, it's heart attack. Yeah. Like, you know, what's the crap? Like, almost like, oh, I'd be all right, wouldn't he, kind of thing. And then Keats has had to sort of like, no, like, it's cardiac arrest. And I still was like, sort of juggling with it. It's like I just didn't process it. I just didn't take it in terms of severity. And he said, no, Job's like, it's very, very serious. He said at the time, of course, there wasn't a lot of details. It was very, very fresh in terms of when it had actually happened. But I could tell from his voice, and that he's a medical expert, you know, that it was going to be, you know, very, very serious. And I don't know, it is still like, you're just hoping, you know, for better news. You're hoping for, oh, he's come round, or he's this, whatever that positive is. But of course, we, you know, at the time we had to respect the family and everything, and your privacy, and, you know, that was first and foremost everyone's thought process. But yeah, of course, as the longer it went on and the days passed, you start getting more concerned, and then you just get the news that you sort of dreading, really, mate. And it was just oh man, just a sledgehammer, just a real I say it took a while. Listen, mate, it's still, when I say it's hard to get your head around now still. Again, I think my big thing from it is going from the feelings that we had, which were, again, I'm talking top of the world stuff, you know, as happy as I've ever been in my football career and in my life in general. You know, we've achieved something. We're all part of it. You know, it's a great place to be, to literally, you know, rock bottom, you know, in such a short space of time, and so suddenly as well. There's no warning signs. There's no, oh, he's rough, and you've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to kind of get your head around things. It was literally just pure shock and disbelief. And I didn't want to believe it for a long time. I got to be honest. I didn't want to believe that, you know, something so tragic had happened to somebody that I love so much, and we love so much. And it probably wasn't until I went to the stadium. And again, when it happened, there's a lot of lads that were away. It was obviously in the off season. And so again, not being able to be around everyone was quite tough. But the few of us that were around obviously said, look, we need to get to the ground. I think that's when it really hit me the first time, Charlie, if I'm being honest, that I got to the ground. And, you know, the last time we'd been there had been, you know, building up to Wembley, and fantastic time. The last time on a match day was that last game of the season. And, you know, to see just people crying, and that's when it really hit me, I think, for the first time. And just, man, just, well, it was just.
It's hard. It was hard for everybody, but obviously for you as a collective group of players, as you mentioned, you know, coming off the back of that unbelievable high, and for players like yourself who had experienced similar success in the past, there was players within that group that this was their first time experiencing a promotion or a title winning season. So to have that sort of wind knocked out of their sails so soon after it probably, listen, I feel that we've been dealt the most unfair card, obviously being his son and as a family. But for you boys as a collective, I know I can hand on my heart say that he specifically said to me and the group as a family and our friends that this was his greatest success as in football. Closely followed by his promotion with Newport County. But this one, because like you mentioned earlier, how tough it is to get out of this division, but to get out of it, but to win it as well, and being pushed all the way. So, you know, it's one of those things, but we, as you sort of say, we're turning a negative into a positive, and keeping his legacy going, you know, with this foundation that we've started.
Yeah, well, just on that, I think it's important to come back to, again, Justin the man rather than just the manager, and again, how close we were as a group. And because of how he was and how he made us in terms of that togetherness, you know, the fact that everyone had each other's back, you know, in the most difficult and horrible of times, he was still there. It was so weird. It was like everything that he instilled in us came out.
Yeah.
And again, this is, for me, when you talk about legacy, you talk about making your mark on people and leaving positive impressions or important lessons in people's lives. Unfortunately, we've all got our time here, and it's so cruel that he's been taken away from, first and foremost, yourselves and everyone else that loved him as soon as he's done. But he's made such an impression, a positive impression on people's lives. And that helped get us through. So we had, because of that closeness, I had people crying on my shoulder because they felt close enough because of what Justin had done and what he wanted for us as a group. So I felt I could take that on, and I cried my flipping eyes out, mate. But again, I did that with lads that were more than just teammates because of what Just brought in, and because of that and the strength of the group, we managed to help ourselves through what was the most horrible and still is situation you could ever wish on anybody,
Absolutely.
And that's something that I always look at now, and I think, God blimey, like, one, it was such an impact because what he meant to us, but two, would we have got through it if he didn't mean as much to us? It's a real little bit of a perverse way of looking at things, but certainly what he brought to that group and what he brought to us, it helped in the most horrible of times, that's for sure. And again, I'll say it, someone like that, he's left us, but he's always with us, man. Like, he's always 100%. With us, whether that's in what we do daily, the lessons that he instilled in us as a group, me as an individual, the football club, other clubs that he's been to and been a part of, and that's what we've got to hold on to, man.
Absolutely, 100%. If you could turn back time now, what would you say to him?
Just thanks, man. I think he knew, I got to be honest. Again, I didn't have the relationship with many other managers at all that I had with Just. And again, I don't know whether it was because I knew I was coming towards the end of my career, that appreciation, but he knew, we gave him everything, man. Like,
100%.
We gave, and he gave it back to us 10 times over, man. And again, that respect that, when we were, putting ourselves through the mill, I think, listen, it'll just be a big thank you for coming in. Again, he probably didn't need to take the job at the time that he did. There was a risk involved, but more for just being the man that he was, and for me, I've had that 18 months with him, man. Again, it's pales into significance to a lot of other people, but that time is time that I will hold with me forever. And, I'm just grateful that I had it, as short as it was, and as sadly as it was taken away. He's a special man, and I speak to my wife about it a lot, who was great, and having the support of my family through all that as well. And, she's a big believer in people coming into your lives, for a reason, no matter whether that's a short period or a long period, but it's about impact. It's about impact people have on your lives. And he's had as big an impact as anybody, certainly professionally, but not just that, and even, with your mum, all the work that they did in terms of getting the group of partners together and the families together off the pitch, again, that helped build that bond that we still have today. And whatever we go on and wherever our futures lie, we'll always have that bond that we have. And, it's down to obviously your old man and your mum.
Yeah, that makes me proud as their son, that they are good people, and I think, anybody that's worked for him, but also aside from that, on a personal level, that's the most, I guess, rewarding thing for me. Is since he has passed, I've not had one person come up to me and say a bad word about him or my mum, and she's an absolute Trojan. I mean, we speak about her a lot in our trustee meetings, and how she sort of drives us on. She gets me going every day, so no, that's lovely to hear, Jobs. From a negative, as I say, we have found a positive in the JE3 Foundation. Has what happened to Dad changed anything for you and your family in terms of perspective of, do you now go and get checkups on your heart that perhaps you didn't have, or even with relation to the football club? Are they now taking different procedures and steps, precautions to make sure that something like this doesn't happen to them?
Yeah, again, I think unfortunately it was I call it a wake-up call. It's the worst wake-up call you can ever have. But I think when something as tragic as that happens, you have to take lessons from it. And certainly just a greater understanding of cardiac arrest, heart attack, heart conditions. Certainly for me, in terms of being a part of the foundations, that's been massive. Again, the lack of an actual need to have a defibrillator in certain establishments is something I never knew, and really shocked me, if I'm being honest, and still does to this day, that it's not compulsory for certain premises to have one. So yeah, clearly it's something that is very close to our hearts. My mother-in-law, my wife's mum, had actually a heart operation a few years prior to all this happening, so it is something that we are very aware of, and we know how dangerous it can be. So yeah, man, it's about, I think that's the biggest thing now. It's about making a change. It's trying to spread the awareness, and again, come back to one of your dad's legacies in terms of just not letting things hold you down, not letting things stop you. Face each day head on. It might have been after a bad result, he comes in on a Monday thinking, I'm not too sure, because he's been at home with you lot going, I'm not too sure. But we don't see that. It's Monday morning, right, bosh, back to business. And even with this setback, something has come out of it that is going to help people. And again, you lot have got it in you, naturally, but that's exactly the attitude that you've shown. And with this fantastic work that you're doing is to drive, it's to keep going forward, it's to spread the message, raise awareness, and it's been fantastic to be a part of, mate.
No, I appreciate that. And I think you rightly say there, it's not until something like this happens to you that you have to stand up, take notice of obviously what has happened, and make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody else that's, associated to you. Because Dad, as you say, pumping in the gym, whether that's on the it can happen to anybody. Yeah. And I think, that's that's what we're trying to do here. How important do you think the work is that the JE3 Foundation is doing? Because to my knowledge, I think unfortunately in this country in particular, it's something that we're quite naive around. I didn't know CPR. I didn't know the difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And, all of this stuff has made me stand up, take notice. Do you think that, there needs to be more done around this work that the JE3 Foundation is pushing for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is, first and foremost, the most fundamental thing about the charity is raising that awareness. Again, I was exactly, as I said to you earlier, exactly the same. Someone says to me, someone's had a heart attack, cardiac arrest, I'll be thinking it's exactly the same thing. Don't know the difference. Again, CPR, there's a real lack of education around that, and the difference that can make, as well as obviously having a defibrillator within a certain time frame of obviously that happening. And I agree with you, man, whether it is, again, educating school kids, doing CPR at standard as part of, whether it be PE lessons, whether it be, whatever, in schools and stuff like that. It's definitely something that needs to happen, because it will save lives. That's because of the work we've done, we have been privy to those conversations, to those stories of, but because in this instance, somebody knew CPR or someone had a defibrillator, it saves a life. It's as simple as that. And, I think the more we can get that message out, the more we can get that awareness, education, and also getting defibrillators into certain venues, which we've been able to do so far, which is brilliant as well, especially places that might not be able to afford them themselves. It's a fantastic cause, and hopefully with the exposure that the foundation's got so far, and obviously with the growth that it's going to have in the future, we can really tap into that exposure and make a real change. And again, with Justin's law at the heart of that, moving things forward and getting that law change that we're all so desperate and hoping for. you know, again, that will make a big difference in saving people's lives. And again, if something positive can come out of such a horrible situation, then you know, I'm sure he'll be up there looking and, you know, at least be saying, listen, you know, someone else hasn't had to go through what my family's had to go through, you know.
Absolutely, mate. And I think we're all in agreement with that. You know, that's why we're doing this. We want to make sure that the ripple effect that's happened off the back of my dad's passing doesn't happen to other families and individuals. And I think, back to your point, it is, we want to try and change it from being unlucky to being no luck involved. You know, you could be in a supermarket where there's, fortunately at that time you're shopping and there's 5 people that know CPR, but then Joe Bloggs is in the next shop down the road and there's no one in there that knows CPR. It's as you say, getting that awareness and education out there, and that's what we're going to be pushing for. From your perspective, mate, you probably well, we see you all the time sporting your badge on the TV, and you're getting a lot of good sort of pundit work now, which is fantastic. And you know, from my perspective, we are absolutely buzzing every time we see you on the TV sporting a badge. And from your perspective, what did it feel like when you got the call from myself, off the back of obviously me and my family discussing that we wanted you to be involved with the foundation in a trustee capacity?
I think first and foremost, honoured to have been asked. You know, again, I think going back to when I look at other members, you know, on the board and part of JE3, they're people that did know Just, you know, a long time, people that have grown up with him, people that have, you know, family members, people that have played with him 20 odd years ago. And I think from that point of view, it was a nice surprise, I suppose. Again, I felt like I had an excellent relationship with him, you know, on and off the pitch. You know, I genuinely did believe that. It was more than a manager and captain's relationship, you know, and I suppose it was nice to maybe feel that was the case, you know, and because he was so special to me, you know, obviously from my point of view, anything I can do to I suppose repay that, I suppose, and be a part of something that's going to go and help other people. Because again, deep down, he was all about other people. You know, This is a game that there's a lot of selfishness about, you know, and I think anyone in and around the game will understand that. And sometimes understandably, because there's a lot of pressure involved, especially if you're a manager, you know, even as a player, you want to be in that team that's going to, yeah, but he was all about the team. He was all about others, thinking about others all the time. Like he'd come in and, you know, when I say some managers go, oh, how's things at home? But it's a throwaway comment, you know, but this was, oh, how's Jolene? Like, how are the boys? You know, Easter. And again, it's probably a lot to do more with your mum.
I know what's coming as well.
There'll be Easter eggs, you know, or Christmas. There'll be like, and it was real. It was real. He was just a real guy, you know, and again, you get a lot of fronting in this game. You get a lot of people telling you what they think you want to hear. And he just was no part of that whatsoever. You know, he was as honest as the day is long. And he was about others. So yeah, in terms of getting contacted, it was right. Where do I sign up? You know, what can I do to help? You know, I want to be a part of it. And it's been such a great journey so far. You know, I think we're all learning in terms of from the charity side of things, you know, picking up ways of hopefully, you know, making us as big as we can. But again, when you see a defibrillator going into a venue, you know, when you see the money that has been raised, that is going to go towards some fantastic things in the future. You know, it gives you a real positive outlook on something, you know, and again,
it makes you feel proud, doesn't it?
It does. You feel proud. But I think coming from you guys, even more so, because you could easily have gone the other way. You know, you could have, and rightfully so, gone into a hole and, you know, and listen, you're affected more than anybody else, you know, because of what happened. But the fact you can get up, the fact you can drive it, you know, you can get a group of people together, you can put on a gala dinner, you know, all these things, it is just incredible. And, you know, for me to be able to be a part of that, you know, again, whatever I can do to help, and it's just an honor to be a part of it, and you know, very, very proud. And again, we had a call recently, and you know, Sean Derry said this was between us. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning it on here, and I'm sure he'll probably be on here at some point in the future. But you know, he mentioned about when you put that badge on, And regardless of everything to do with the foundation and what we're trying to achieve, he thinks are just.
Yeah.
You know, and it does, you know, every time I put it on, every time I look at, every time I see the emblem, you know, it's Justin, you know. And again, for me personally, if I'm out and about or I'm doing my bits and bobs, and, you know, he's with me, man. Again, he's in my heart, of course, every day, but it's nice to have something physical there, I suppose, where you're like, you know, you can look down and, you know, it's
he's with you.
Yeah, man, 100%. And I remember all those good times, and I think it's important that we do that, you know, and, you know, that certainly helps me to do that, and being part of this helps me to do that. You know, we get to talk about him, we get to, you know, reminisce over all the good times, and you know, it's keeping him with us as well in his memory, and, you know, it's a fantastic thing to be able to do that, as well as all the other great things alongside the charity.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he would want. You know, he wouldn't want us being down and out about it. He would want us remembering the good times, laughing, smiling, reminiscing, as you say. So, and from my side, you know, we are eternally grateful for everything that you do for us, Jobs. And you know, long may this continue, and hopefully we'll get Justin's law and continue to save lives, because essentially that's what we want to do, right? And yeah, from my side, and I speak on behalf of my mum, my sister, and everybody else, we thank you for that, mate. Just finally, I'll leave you with this question. You're coming towards the tail end of your career now. People are seeing you on their TVs more and more. I think even see Jolene put up on Instagram last night that she's starting to see you on the TV more than in the house nowadays. What's the next steps for Jobi McAnuff after football? Because I know I actually put a message out to on our social media, and quite a few people were like, get Jobi on firstly, like they were who they wanted you to hear from. You were who they wanted to hear from, and be the first person on the pod. But for you, what do the next steps look like? Is it that media route, or are you looking to go more down maybe the football management side of things, or something completely different?
Yeah, no, listen, it's another question that I suppose I should start asking myself at the ripe old age of 39. I think for me, it's just been about putting some things in place, Charlie. I think I had a lot of mates who've had to retire, whether it be through injury, whether it be lack of opportunities, maybe the club's not quite what they want it to be, and blah, 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 blah. And I think when that comes, it's a tough place to be, when all you've known. I left school at 15, 16, as you do, you go and do your YTS. You know, 20 odd years later, I'm still here, being able to call myself a footballer. And you know, the last certainly few years in particular, doing my coaching badges has been important for me. It's something I'm passionate about, in terms of, I love the game. It's what I've been involved in. Again, especially in and around first team football, is certainly something that I love. I had obviously a year last year on the really coaching department, because I wasn't able to play as much, and that gave me a great insight into that. Of course, the media side's been fantastic, something that I really, really enjoy. You know, the more I do, the more I do enjoy it. So it's just about giving myself options, and hopefully being able to do something that I'll never be able to replicate, scoring a winning goal or winning a league, lifting a trophy, but still something that I enjoy, and of course something to do with football if I'm lucky enough. I'd love to manage, mate. I'd love to manage at some point. You know, I feel like I've certainly learned a lot of lessons.
You've earned your stripes, mate. You've earned your stripes.
You know, and again, you listen to all the ones that have gone into it now, and there's certainly real things that I would take from all my managers, good and bad. You put your own spin on it, but ultimately it's about leading, you know, a group of people and getting the best out of people. And again, sometimes that's more than just tactics or, you know, things on a board. It's, you know, how people are doing in their personal life. You know, what makes Jobi McAnuff tick, you know, what makes X, Y, and Z tick to go and get the best result on a football pitch, you know. And I think through my experiences, I'd love to have a crack at that, because it's something that I'm really interested in. But again, the media side of things is something that I really enjoy as well. So I've got 2 young kids, and obviously being around them is important for me, especially at this ages. They're 5 and 7, and you know, I love being around them, love spending time with them. So that will be a factor in whatever I choose to do next, I think, as well, and having that bit of balance, because again, coming back to your dad, which we have to, you know, and I'm talking from someone from the outside, but he always had that balance about him, Charles. He'd always come in and he'd speak about you doing a marathon, you know, he'd speak about Sydney, you know, obviously Kerry, and it wasn't just football in terms of nothing else mattered. It was quite the opposite, where family is first.
Yeah.
But as long as that family's okay and things are right there, then I can come into work and be 100% focused on football. But it wasn't football first, family second. And I think for me, that's something that certainly, again, is a massive lesson for me that I would take forward if I ever did go down that road. As difficult it is, because it can consume you. But just to have that balance, to be able to switch off at times, which you need to be able to do, especially with the stresses and pressures of management.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, let's hope I got a few options, mate, put it that way. And then, you know, what will be, will be. It's just about trying to say, get myself in a position that, you know, I've got something to get into when I do finish, because again, from people that I know, having that void, it can be difficult, mate. So,
no.
And I think I'll be kept busy with the charity as well, mate, to be fair. So
100%.
that's all good.
100%, mate. Well, listen, whatever it is that you end up doing next, I'm sure you'd be a massive success in whatever path you do end up going down. But Jobs, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out to be our first guest on the JE3 podcast. So once again, mate, thank you very much for your time and coming on.
No problems. An absolute pleasure being the first one on. To anyone listening, please get behind us. You know, whether it's the pod, whether it's the foundation, you know, we appreciate every bit of a follow, a retweet, you know, a shout out on the socials. It makes a massive difference to us all. And I can't speak highly enough of yourself, Charlie, and the family for, you know, the what you've done and what you're continuing to do. So proud to be a part of it, mate. And, you know, here's to the future, eh?
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. People, please like, share, retweet, whatever it is. Let's get the awareness spread out there of the JE3 Foundation and the JE3 podcast. So, Jobi, thank you very much. And everybody, thank you for listening.